So the topic of having kids, I have not talked about this, well, since the first video, I think it was the second video I made called Why I'm Never Having Kids. And that's something I still stand by, but I think lately I've been having much more newer thoughts about this topic and I have not revisited it in a while. But a little backstory, when I started this channel, I considered myself an anti-natalist. And if you don't know what that means, kind of like in summary, like you believe it is wrong to have children in a world like this, it's wrong to create life and all that stuff. And yeah, to a certain extent, that's what I believe, but I feel like, once I remember after I posted that video, Why I'm Never Having Kids, there were like these comments that were coming in, people saying, oh, you're not a real anti-natalist because you think it's okay to have kids if you're rich, or if you think it was a better world, you could still, like, and that's why I was like, fuck the labels. I'm done with these ideologies. I'm done with, putting a word to, putting a meaning to what I believe in. Like, I'm just gonna be, I just want to be the guy that has these thoughts that can be nuanced, that can be in a gray area. It doesn't have to be like full-on extreme anti-nihilism, or it doesn't have to be full-on nihilism or any other ideology out there. I don't want to be I don't want to be put into one category, one label, one box. I do not want that. I want to be somebody who just has these thoughts and can just voice them out however the fuck I want. I think basing yourself on an ideology is something you kind of just do when you're just getting started into this awakening, this awareness. And I started knowing the term antinatalism probably like last September. I remember when I first discovered that term, and I was like, it was like the beginnings of, my awareness and how the way the world works. And I was just like, oh, I guess I am that. I mean, I guess I should be part of this thing. So once it came time when I started my channel in January earlier this year, that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm this. But the response, some of the response I got was just like, I don't know. It was kind of annoying. I just did not like to be told like, oh, you're wrong. You're not actually a real one. You're just. So I'm just like, fuck the terms, fuck the labels. I'm just gonna be me with my thoughts. And I actually still stand by the idea of I would not want to have kids. And it also made me realize how much I used to want kids and how much that was, before the awareness, you don't actually know what, how the world really works and the way everything is run on money, jobs, and competition. You don't know about all that until you actually like open your eyes, unplug yourself from this madness and actually like see the world for what it truly is. And then you're like, damn, well, why would I bring a kid into a world where this is all these things are normal? Like it just doesn't really make sense to me why I would bring a kid in this world, even though I originally wanted to. And I can easily admit that, the world is harsh, suffering is real. A lot of things can happen to a child, and, they'll go through so many things that I went through that, it's like, why would I want my kids to go through all the shit that I had to go through? They could get into an accident, they could develop, a disease, or they can develop a certain condition that, or, there's always this risk of, or they're just gonna go through applying for jobs and getting rejected all the time because unfortunately that's how we survive in this world. We need to get a job, make money. Our lives depend on a fucking piece of paper, on a fucking digital number, just a couple digits on a screen. It's pathetic. And just the whole concept of having my kid go through that is just like, why would I do that? Even though, and again, it's heartbreaking because I originally wanted children, but it's just like I can't bring myself to follow with this plan. Like, why would I do this? Just because everybody else is doing it? Fuck no. I'm doing this for my unborn children. This This is me protecting them from this world. I'm doing something for them by doing this. And here comes the gray area of this topic that, I can fully admit that, yeah, if I was, I don't know if I was wealthy, that I would have children, but I know for a fact that if, there was by some miracle, if the world like changed completely and we lived in peace and, things were much better, if we lived in a much better world, then yeah, I mean, I would consider it maybe, but like with the way the world is now, I can't bring myself to think about that idea. It's just not possible. I cannot do that. And I'm also not one of those extreme people out there who's gonna look at a family, look at a bunch of kids and be like, oh, you should not have had kids or something like that. I'm not gonna think that about other people. Like, I'm not gonna be like thinking to myself, hey, you should not have had kids, because come on, guys, that's a bit extreme here. But what I do think about in those moments is like my worry for the child. I worry about the future. Whenever I see a child out there, I just wonder what their future is going to be like. I would just picture them just working a 9 to 5 job just for survival, and just they have to make money, they have to pay taxes, pay bills, pay rent, all that crap. And it's like, it's heartbreaking looking at a child, and that's all I see. And so if I had my own children, that's gonna be much more worse. I'm gonna see that, I'm gonna be like, fuck, what the fuck did I do? I got a few comments throughout my videos kind of asking, oh, are you a black pill? Are you a nihilist? Are you this and that? And I'm just like, no, I'm not. I'm not anything. I'm just me. I'm life outrage. That's it. I don't, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't want to put myself into a label. I don't want to put myself in a box. It's just restrictive. And I would have to follow the exact meaning of that ideology. And if I kind of just drift towards something else, then I'm not a real one. God. But yeah, it's restrictive, and I can't do that. I just want to be me. I just want to be myself and express my thoughts freely and not have to be restricted. It's that simple. One thing I will say is that I do hope for a better world. I don't know if that's actually possible, but it's just like, if I were to bring children into this world, it would have to be a much more better world, because it cannot be just like this. And that brings me into the next discussion, where the idea of adoption. And personally, I think that is, like, if somebody would want to have children, or myself, or whatever, that would be the only logical solution if to want to have children, because there are already so many people in this world. There are so many, like, we're very populated on this earth, and because we're so populated, it creates more competition for jobs, and we're competing, fighting for survival, fighting for resources, and all that stuff. And I think it's just logical to want to adopt with the way the world is right now, if that makes sense. There's also this whole aspect where I'm still trying to find my own way. I'm still trying to figure out what's my purpose, what am I here for, kind of thing. And so, of course, the idea of wanting to have children or adopt, that's far ahead. But like, if I'm speaking realistically right now, I think it's more logical to just want to adopt than to bring new life into this hell, where survival is all based upon fucking a piece of paper or a digital number. It's like, I cannot handle that reality for future children that are going to be born into this world. It's just, it scares me, it terrifies me. But at the same time, I'm not gonna, like, tell a parent, hey, you should not have had kids. That's too much. I would not do that. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make this video to kind of clarify, what's actually happening with my mind. What are my thoughts? Because when I started this channel with that video, why I'm never having kids, I was in such a different place, and now I'm like it feels like my mindset has evolved just a little bit. I still stand by that I would not bring a new life into this world, that's for sure. But my, there's this gray area. It doesn't always have to be extreme. There can be room for nuance, and that's okay. But yeah, life's complex. It's not always black and white. I'm still on that journey to with this awakening, and yeah, we'll see where this takes me. But yeah, what do you guys think about this topic? Let me know in the comments, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.